Hello, all of you. Here we will see the second chapter of our NCERT text, Politics in India Since Independence. And this chapter talks about era of one-party dominance. So, from 47 to 1964, Jawaharlal Nehru was the Prime Minister of India, and he was a very charismatic leader, a very towering personality he had. He had immense leadership quality, the legacy of freedom movement. So his era is actually referred as era of one party dominance because Congress was the only party. There was no opposition as such. There was nothing called BJP. We'll see that what we know today as BJP was into some other form. There was something called Jansangh. Communists were there, Swatantra Party was there. Now all these parties have become politically redundant in Indian politics, and BJP has become the main party now. So it is this is 2020, but from 47 to most of the 60s, the decades of 60s, was what this chapter says the era of one party dominance. So the first paragraph is actually it lays a very important line which I would highlight for you that non-democratic regimes always started with a promise of restoring democracy very soon, but once they established themselves, it was very difficult to dislodge them. Try to understand this. Uh, Post Second World War, I'm slightly going beyond this NCRT text because I want you to have a very holistic understanding of these things. This is a very interesting book. All the chapters are very, very interesting, but then we need to know how it is happening and why it is happening. So, post Second World War ended in 1945, and the process of decolonization was set up, which means Europeans and Americans, they had occupied most of the Asia and Africa. Now they were receding. Now they were going back to their own countries because the colonies, countries which were occupied by the imperial powers were called colonies. Like India was a British colony. So all these colonies were now liberated. They were having the same democracy, rule of law. These things were now freedom movement in India. You know, in history we'll study about that. So all these countries were liberated from the foreign power, and Europeans and Americans started going back to their native places. Post Second World War, they were not in a position to continue their colonial legacy. So most of the Asia and Africa, they became national unity was missing. That's why they became colonies in the first place, and they became countries that gained freedom from colonialism experienced non-democratic rule. That is very important part here. That these places experienced non-democratic rule. So even in Asia, you see, Japan itself was a colonial power despite being a nation country. Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Pakistan, India, except for India, where else do you see democracy, truly vibrant democracy? Nowhere else, because you see, all these became all these countries other than India, they came under autocratic regime. Now, I have used the word autocratic. It is a it is an antonym for democratic. Okay, so autocratic means dictatorship, authoritarian rule. So these countries, except India, India ushered democracy. So the other became non-democratic and authoritarian countries. And they always started with the promise of restoring democracy very soon. All of them said that soon we will have democracy, so on and so forth, but it never happened. The non-democratic autocratic regime became very deep rooted in these countries. So the conditions in India were not very different from the conditions that existed in the other countries of Asia and Africa. But the leaders were different. They decided to take the more difficult path. More difficult path means, see, it is very easy for a newly independent country to take autocratic line when the colonial hangover ends. But it is very difficult to make that country a democratic country. Now the Britishers are gone. Gandhi and Nehru would have said that now we are the rulers of this country and do as you wish, do as we wish. You all, we were probably 27, 30 crore in 1947-48, so less. So, so less compared to these times. So they would have said that do as we wish. That would have been an autocratic form. But asking everyone to come out and vote for whoever party you want to win and whichever candidate you want to win was quite difficult. Why? We'll soon learn these things. So freedom struggle itself was committed to the idea of democracy. Okay, because they, if you read the formation of Indian National Congress today, as I'm speaking to you, today is the foundation day of Congress. See, so you'll learn this in history that A.O. Hume, W.C. Banerjee, what were the initial demands of the moderates? That let us give them the rule of law, let us give them let us give ourselves self-determination. We will decide which form of government we want, and let us Indians have a say in policy making and government. Not only British should have that for India. So our leaders were conscious of the critical role of politics in any democracy. They did not see politics as a problem; they see it as a way of a means to solve the problems. So the society needs to decide how it will govern and regulate itself. There were always different policy alternatives. So different group democratic politics is what the Indians chose. And why they chose it and why we have still remained a democracy, you will understand this as soon as we finish this chapter. Now, Constitution was made. You have this class 11th book, Indian Constitution at Work, a beautiful book. Probably someday I'll explain that book also, but after this NCRT for sure. So Constitution was adopted on 26 November 49 and then signed on, no, there's a reason why it was signed on 24th January, but it was adopted 2 months before, because on 26 January 1930, Congress session on the banks of River Ravi in Lahore, Congress declared Poon Swaraj. So it made sense to defer it from 1949, 26 November to 26 January 1950, because they remember that in 1930, on this very day, we declared Poon Swaraj in our Lahore session. So let us keep it on 26th. No, there's this mistake. It came into effect on 26th January. Yes, not mistake, but it was adopted, signed on 24th, and enforced upon on 26th January, the day when Congress declared Poon Swaraj way back in 1930. That's why they chose this day. Now, Constitution was effected from 26th January 1950. Now, there were certain guidelines, many guidelines under the constitution which the government was supposed to follow. First thing was, now let us have an election. Let us have an election for the government of India. Now, how this election will be done? So here comes the election commission. It's a constitutional body, and they said that we will hold the elections. We are the ones who will hold the elections. So how will you hold the elections? They were asked. So they said that there are certain rules according to which we want our election process to be handled. Free and fair elections, which means everyone will have a chance, to everyone whosoever wants to contest the election. There are certain prerequisites. You have to be attain a certain age, and then there are certain things that you need to declare: your educational credential, your property that you have, the wealth that you have, your source of income, all these things. So how this will be done? Because India was such a big country, India is such a big country, and electoral rolls. What is electoral roll? I wonder how many of you have voted. uh, Probably most of you are, the school students are under 18, and the UPSC ones are major, more than 18. So if you have voted, next time when you go to vote in whichever election, your state assembly or the Lok Sabha election, Lok Sabha would happen definitely in 2024. By that time, most of you will be eligible to vote. So, when you go there, what happens on the electoral booth, that the person is sitting, the election commission has appointed certain people. They have a list. That list has your name. So when you will show your election ID card, they will tally that name in the list. That list is called electoral. This written here, uh, electoral roll, that is called. Okay, so that is called electoral roll. This is the roll that we are talking about. So first thing first, that they need to prepare the electoral roll. Now, who will be named in that electoral roll? All those who are major. At that time, it was 21 years. Now it has become 18 years. 86th constitutional amendment. Rajiv Gandhi ji brought it, reduced the age from 21 to 18. At that time, it was 21. So everyone who is 21 and above is eligible to vote. So That was a massive task because you see the length and breadth of the country. And the very funny thing happened that 40 lakh, it sounds funny in retrospect. Now I can say it was funny. When it happened, it was not funny. 40 lakh women were not recorded. Why, because instead of XY, whatever be the name, they were listed as wife of A, daughter of B. Okay, like this is how they were called upon, and this is how they were listed in the electoral list. So election commission said, what is that? Gopal ki maa, श्याम की बहन, अब्दुल की अम्मी, दिस इज नॉट गोइंग टू वर्क. उनका नाम क्या है? व्हाट इज द नेम ऑफ दिस women? उनका नाम लाओ, उसकी बहन, उसकी माँ, उसकी बेटी, इसकी मौसी. So these things is his auntie, his her, they were associated with their male counterparts. Okay, wife of, daughter of. So EC refused that, no, no, we are not going to see all these things. We are not going to entertain such queries or such electoral list. We want the proper name of these women. And they again prepared the electoral rule, and revision was ordered. You see here, revision if possible and deletion if necessary. So preparing the first election was a mammoth exercise. 40 lakh women were named like that. So, and until this time, nothing like that has happened in world. A country of this length and breadth of India, the population that we had in 1950 was again very big. 1950-51, the first elections happened. So many people, and the literacy rate was very low. Nowadays, literacy rate has improved. At that time, it was very low. So to make those people, convey those people that this is how you need to vote, this is how you need to come here, and these are the candidates, that itself was a very difficult task. So at that time, there were 489 members of Lok Sabha. Currently, there are 543 members of Lok Sabha, 17 crore eligible voters. Today, they are, I guess, 60 to 70 crore. 3,200 MLAs. Now, MLAs are elected from state assemblies. Of course, the number has again increased. I'm unable to recall because I don't know how many assemblies have how many MLAs. So only 15% were literate. Now you can safely say that 60, 70%, 70, 80% are literate. So EC had to make them come out of their house and vote. So they have to do something for it. They trained people. They trained over 3 lakh officers and polling staff to conduct the elections. So see how tough it was. And it was just not the size that made this election unusual. Electorate means people who are going to vote. Electorate means that those 17 crore eligible voters are the electorate. So it's a big number. Still, it's a big number. In 1951 also, it was a big number. So democracy in a country like India, poor and illiterate, democracy exists in prosperous country, Europe, North America, where everyone is literate, everyone is aware of their rights. So it was like it is not going to succeed here. Okay. And then you are giving universal adult franchise. Now, this is a technical term. What is universal adult franchise? Anyone who is 18 and above is eligible to vote. Everyone has one vote. In 1951-52 election, it was 21 year. By 86 constitutional amendment, no, not 86th. But yes, Rajiv Gandhi ji was the prime minister. He reduced the age from 21 to 18. So that is universal adult franchise, and everyone will have one vote. Okay. You might be a graduate, you might be a plus two student. I hold a master's degree, I'm going for my PhD, but all our votes will be one, irrespective of our educational credential. Someone is rich, someone is poor, someone is male, someone is female, someone is trans. Now, government, sorry, government also has the government forms has the third column, the transgender. Very good step this is. Irrespective of your caste, irrespective of your religion, educational credential, economic credential, you will have just one vote. You will be a double PhD, still one vote. You are illiterate, still one vote. This is called universal adult franchise. Age should be 18 and above. Now, then 21 and above. So you see this cartoon. Again, these cartoons are very, very interesting. That's Nehruji, that's C. Rajgopalachari, so on and so forth. That's Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad. Election committee formed by the Congress to choose party candidates. Now, a few people in every party it happens. BJP also has a such body. Congress also has such a body. All the parties have an apex body which decides who will get the election ticket. Now, see, everyone wants to contest the election. chose party candidate Nehru, Desai, Rafi Ahmad Kidwai, BC Roy, Kamaraj Nadar, Rajgopalachari, Jal Jeevan Ram Mohan. So these were the people, and everyone was like, "Please give me a ticket. I want to become an MP or an MLA." So these people had a very tough task: whom to select and whom to reject. It happens before every election with all the parties. Okay, so because everyone wanted to win the election and become a legislature. Legislature means MP and or MLA. MLA is in state, MP is in the center, Delhi, Sansad, Parliament. Now, this is about the EVM. This is how an EVM works when you will go out and vote. This is how there will be the names and symbols of the name of the candidate and symbol of the party. Whichever you like, you just need to put the button and it will lighten up. It will make a tone like sound and your vote will be casted. So it's a very recent development. By 2004, the entire country shifted to EVM. Earlier, ballot papers were used. Now, what were these ballot paper? We don't have to go into that all. That's not required actually. Presidential election is still conducted through ballot paper that we'll see somewhere else. So Indians also doubted that whether you will be able to conduct the election. So Indian editor called it a biggest gamble in the history. Organizer, a magazine, wrote that Nehru would live to confess the failure of universal adult franchise. That why are you granting voting right to everyone? They are illiterate. They don't know what is right and wrong. Everyone who is 21 and above will have one vote. So this is not how things work. Please give them on the basis of something. Maybe whether they have some educational credential, whether they have some property, whether they're rich or not, whether they have taken major decisions in them, whatever be the criteria, don't give voting rights to everyone. A good number of Indians believed that. British member of the Indian Civil Services claimed a future and more enlightened age will view the astonishment and absurd facts of recording the votes of millions of illiterate people. See, all these people have been proved wrong. Today, democracy is surviving in India and it's thriving in India. It's because in 1951-52, we chose to go for the democratic process instead of a qualified electorate, which means anyone who is a 12th pass or a graduate or having some money, only he or she can vote. We said anyone can vote. So if you talk to people who are not who are not literate, who are not very illiterate, who are like selling vegetables or pulling a rickshaw, even they have political understanding more than what some very decently educated will have because of this, because of we granted universal adult franchise. We did not disenfranchise people on the basis of education, economic status, caste, religion, or any criteria. So that was a good thing. And all these apprehensions have been proved to be wrong. So elections were postponed twice and finally in 52 because most parts of country voted in January 1952. It extended. Election for Lok Sabha happens in stages. This time also in 2019, I guess there were 6 stages. Yes. So it took 6 months for the campaigning, polling, and counting to be completed. Elections were competitive. There were, on an average, more than 4 candidates for each seat. Level of participation was encouraging. More than half the eligible voters turn out to vote on the day of the election. So out of those 17 crore by two people came out to vote. Somewhere around 8 crore people voted. And results were declared. These were accepted as fair even by the losers. Even now it happens. Whenever the recent elections happened, Bihar Assembly, municipal elections have also happened, but then I'm talking about the major states. So the people who lost, they also said, yes, we have lost, we will sit in opposition. In 2019, elections happened, even the losers accepted it. The victors accepted it. This is because, democracy in India has now become very, very deep rooted. Level of participation was encouraging. Indian experiment had proved the critics wrong who were saying that how will these illiterate people vote? Yes, they did vote. And the Times of India held that the polls have confounded all those skeptics who thought the introduction of adult franchise too risky and experimental. So TOI wrote that all those who thought, skeptics means people who doubted that introducing adult franchise, anyone 21 and above is going to vote, will be a disaster. It's not the case. These people have exercised their political choice. They have an opinion and they are asserting it. We are not questioning them whether you are educated, whether you are rich, whether you are poor, you are this caste, this religion. No, irrespective of their any identity, they have a political choice and they have asserted it. What else does democracy mean? So the Indian newspapers were very upbeat about it. The Hindustan Time claimed that there is a universal agreement that the Indian people have conducted themselves admirably in the largest experiment in democratic election in the history of the world. Nowhere else it has happened, because democracy was for, good countries. Good in the sense I'm saying that who had kind of educated citizens, where people were having some idea about what their rights are. In India, try to understand, 1947 country became free, 1952 the elections are happening. Nothing has happened in all these 4 years. Nothing much has happened. Education same, literacy rate same, very low, poverty, lot of people are very poor, but still they have a political choice. So that was the success of Indian electoral politics. And observers outside India were equally impressed. So the entire world became aware that yes, Indians, despite all their limitations, they have been exercising their democratic rights, and they have done it very successfully. Now, how it happened, and the Congress was the dominating one. Okay, did not surprise anyone, because Indian National Congress was expected to win, and they won. They won very handsomely, and the party won 364 out of 489 seats in the first Lok Sabha. See, today we have 543 seats in Lok Sabha, and BJP has won 303 seats. At that time, Congress had won 364 out of 489 seats. This is more than what we have currently under Sri Narendra Modi. So Jawaharlal Nehru, because there was no opposition, Congress had no opposition. And moreover, Congress was having a legacy of freedom movement. Okay, so Nehruji, under his charismatic leadership, the party's most popular and charismatic leader, Jawaharlal Nehru. Of course, there is no denying this fact. One may disagree with Nehru on certain things, one may agree with Nehru on certain things, but one can never doubt that he was a charismatic leader. Okay, so when final results were declared, party won, and Communist Party of India, that came next in terms of seats, won only 16 seats. So you see, rank one party is having 364, the rank two is having 16. Today, the rank two party is Congress. They are having 54 Lok Sabha seats. In 2014, BJP won 283 seats, Congress won 44 seats, the second highest. And at that time, Congress won 364. The second number was Communist Party of India, 16 seats. So you see the gap between number one and number two. This, like this. Here is 364, here is 16 by the communist. State elections were held with the Lok Sabha, and you see everywhere except yellow is Congress. Okay, this map you see, yellow is Congress, Jammu and Kashmir, and now down south you will have Kerala. Here the communists were there because they also won 16 seats. And here National Conference was there. National Conference is currently the party of Farooq Abdullah and Omar Abdullah. So at that time, Sheikh Abdullah, their granddaddy, was there. We'll see these things later on. So they won there. And see how Congress has swept. Actually, there is nothing other than Congress, right? So few parts, Naga, and then Goa, few pockets. Yellow is entire Congress. So entire India was Congress. For 52 to 67, this is called the era of one party, Congress dominance. Okay, all the states were having Congress government. And now moving on from here, uh, Congress scored a big victory in these elections. It won a majority of seats in except states except Travancore. See, the Lok Sabha election happened, and simultaneously the Vidhan Sabha, the state assembly elections happened. So Congress won all the states also. In Lok Sabha, they got 364, and they won most of these states except Travancore, Cochin, Madras, Orissa, and, Kashmir maybe, except 4 to 5 states, they won all the states. So the party ruled all over the country, all the national and state level, and Nehru became the PM after the first general election. So you see, this is the dominance of Congress. In the second and third election, which were held in 57 and 62, Congress maintained the same position, and they won three-fourths of the seats. Okay, three-fourths of seats were won by the Congress party itself. None of the opposition could win even one-tenth of the number of seats won by the Congress. See, none of the opposition parties could win even one-tenth of the number of seats won by the Congress. So we see that today BJP is having a very dominant position, but see the position that Congress had under Jawaharlal Nehru. BJP is not is still behind that. Okay, so in the state assembly, Congress did not get majority in few cases. Kerala they had this communist government, and CPI the communist government was there, and they had actually a coalition with some regional parties in Kerala, and they won. Congress was defeated in Kerala in state, and most of the states were also dominated by Congress. So it was artificially boosted by our electoral system. Now, I'm not going to discuss this here. We actually operate under what is called FPTP, first past the post. See, currently people say that Modi ji has won 35 or 37% of votes. So if he has won 37% of vote, it means 63% people have not voted for BJP. Correct. But 63% did not root for one single person. 37% have rooted for one single person. The opposition is divided. 67% is split into Congress, Aam Aadmi Party, Mulayam Singh Yadav, Lalu Yadav, okay, Naveen Patnaik, DMK, Shiv Sena, all the opposition. 37% is one. That is why this is called FPTP, first past the post. Congress obtained 45% of total votes, but managed to win 74% of the seats. So don't be surprised. This is how FPTP works. This is how it has always worked. So people say that Modi has won just 37% of seats. Jawaharlal Nehru won 45% of votes. How is it any surprising? Those who say these things are either doing a very shallow analysis or they are trying to manipulate. So if Modi ji has won 37% of vote, Nehru ji won 45% of votes and went on to win 74% of the Lok Sabha seats. Modi ji has also won 303 out of 545 seats. So this is how FPTP works. You must be able to cross a threshold. Okay. The others, there are 7 to 8 candidates contesting from a particular seat. The one who achieves a certain number is declared winner. The other seats are not, the other votes are meaningless then. So it happened because of first past the post. Now again, 11th class book has this in detail, so I'll not discuss it here. As and when I'll later on, I intend to cover this book also, Indian Constitution at Work, but later on, then I'll tell you everything in detail about what is FPTP and what is proportional representation, how are two different. In India, are we using proportional representation? Why Israel uses proportional representation, so on and so forth, that we will discuss there. So one thing that Congress was dominating. Now, what worked in favor of Congress? That the system worked in favor of Congress, the FPTP system, and non-Congress votes were divided between different rebel parties. That is what I said. That 37% currently is consolidated under BJP. The remaining is divided. Same thing happened with Congress. And you see, this was the newspaper clipping, The Hindu, and President rule in Kerala, proclamation. These were the communist one in Kerala. Now, how did communist one in Kerala? Because there's a story to it. I'm not going into all the details. I'll just explain what is written here. 57 Congress party had the bitter taste of defeat in Kerala. Assembly elections in 57, Communist Party won largest number of seats. So there were 126 seats and Communist won 60 seats. 5 independent. Independent means someone who is not contesting from any party. He is called independent. 5 independent won. They supported the communists, so it became a coalition government. So governor invited EMS Nambudiri Pad. He was the leader of Communist Party to form the ministry. So for the first time in the world, a communist government was formed after democratically winning election. See, Karl Marx is the one who gave the theory of communism. Again, these are things that I'll discuss in some other videos. But just to brief you, that Karl Marx and his friend Friedrich Engel came with the communist theories. It's a very, I'll need 2 to 3 videos to explain what is communism. Lenin in 1917 Bolshevik revolution in USSR first time brought the communist or the socialist government in USSR. Now that was not through an election. 1949, chairman of the Chinese Communist Party Mao Zedong again brought the communist revolution in China. None of them came through democratic elections. They came through revolutions. In 1957, EMS Namudripad, with the help of five independent MLAs, for the first time made a democratically elected communist government, which means a communist party which has won the election. Mao did not win, Lenin did not win, Hugo Chavez did not win in Venezuela, Castro did not win in Cuba. Okay, they were all after revolution. That we will dethrone the ruler and then we will come with popular support. There was no election as such. So they came through democratic elections. Now Congress became a liberation struggle, and CPI and Congress, AK Gopalan will be arrested here. Congress invoked Article 356. Article 356 means president rule. Emergency was declared in state and they suspended it. So Nambudripad started leading a position, and because his ministry was dismissed by Nehruji, so it happened. And then there was this Socialist Party. Origin of Socialist Party can be traced to the mass movement stage of Indian National Congress in pre-independence era. In 34, it was formed as Congress Socialist Party by a group of young leaders who wanted a more radical and egalitarian Congress. See, for this you have to study history. I'll just brief it here. There was an era when Congress was dominated by socialists. Now, who are socialists? They are also a type of communist. Okay, communism is the last stage. Before becoming communist, one has to become a socialist. There is a five-stage process actually. Uh, Please wait until I make that video on the communism. So they said, socialists said that we want to have a more radical and egalitarian. Radical means it's not like radical means some religious or something. They are saying that let us be very vocal about the goals of socialism. Let us not hesitate in that. And egalitarian means equal. Where there is equality, that becomes egalitarian. So Congress must be egalitarian in its approach. Everyone must have a say. It's not like Nehruji will decide everything. So Congress amended its constitution to prevent its members from having a dual party system. In 48, Congress said if you are a member of Congress, you cannot be a member of any other party. So which means if you want to join the Socialist Party, you need to resign from the Congress. So this forced the socialists to, that's what happened. This forced the socialists to form a separate socialist party in 48. And what they believed in, I'll explain it briefly, their ideology. They believed in democratic socialism, with distinguishing them both from the Congress as well as from the communist. They criticized the Congress for favoring capitalists and landlords and for ignoring the workers and the peasants. Now, let me tell you what it was. Very briefly, communism talks about uh, uh, resources must be owned by the people. Resources, the factors of production, must be owned by the people. It must not go to the capitalist. Okay, capitalist is the one who has property. A shopkeeper is a capitalist. You have a house, you are a capitalist. Whatever personal property you have, the more personal property you have, the bigger capitalist you are. That's why Mukesh Ambani is the biggest capitalist of India, because he's the richest man. So he's a capitalist. Socialist would say, communist would say that capitalism is an evil. It's an evil. Let us, capitalism must die, is what Karl Marx said. So how? Because wealth should be shared by everyone. No, I'm not going into the merit or demerit of this theory, because there will be separate time when I'll discuss it. I would love to tell you all about it. So what they said, that socialists say that yes, we also agree with what the communists say, that capitalists must not have the control. The socialist, the masses must have the control. Socialists would say that me and communists are same on this thing, but socialists would differ, because communists would say that these things we need to snatch from the capitalists and distribute to the people after a bloody revolution. See, Karl Marx said that violence is the midwife of a society pregnant with new ideas. It means that any society which wants to bring a new idea must accept violence. Violence is the midwife. Who is a midwife? The nurse which assists in the birth of the child, Daima. Okay. So he said that violence has to happen. Communists would say that through revolution change will happen. Socialists would say no. We want a change. Same change with the communists want, but not through revolution, through democracy. So that is why they differed both from uh, communist and from the Congress, because they said that Congress favors capitalist, and they said that communists talk about violent revolution. We believe in democracy. So now again, what happened? Socialists faced a dilemma when the in 55 Congress declared its goal to be socialist pattern of society. So socialists were like that, they are saying the same thing that we are saying. So how will we accuse Congress of favoring the capitalist if they are themselves saying that we want our goal to be socialist pattern of society? So it became difficult for the socialists to present themselves as an effective alternative, because Congress was also singing the same song. These leaders were them Ram Manohar Lohia. Mulayam Singh Yadav considers Ram Manohar Lohia as his guru. So they increased their distance from and criticism of the Congress party. Ashok Mehta was there. So all these people, they were facing a dilemma that Congress is also doing the same thing. They are also endorsing the same ideology that we are endorsing. Socialist Party went through many splits and reunions. So Kisan Mazdoor Party, Praja Socialist Party, Samyukt Socialist Party, JP came, Achyut Patwardhan, they came and came and came. So this is how the socialist kind of thing came up. Now, what was the nature of this? So now, until now, we have seen that Congress was there, then communists were there. A different variation of communist called socialist were there. We have seen only three. There is no BJP now until now. So, what was the nature of the Congress dominance? Now, this I'll take down in other video. I'll discuss. I'll finish the entire chapter in the next video. If you have any doubt, please comment under this video. I'll definitely answer it. See you all very soon. Bye for now.